Well, here I am, my first recorded ride after I've been given permission from the doctor that I can actually do this, that I can exercise. I went out for like 10 minutes yesterday to find out if I would feel terrible when I got back in. And I had some sore muscles, and so I was thinking, man, take a couple months off and get back to exercising, and you get sore muscles right away after only 10 minutes. So today the muscles are still a little bit sore, but not too bad. So we're going to go on another ride. I'm expecting to go on a longer ride today. Try to see if I can get something like 20 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes. However, it is been raining all morning, and it's just stopped. And I just felt some raindrops, so hey, this might be a rainy ride. A little bit of a health update. I'll try to not bore people too much with it. Is that they had found a lump of cancer. They removed it, and now we're trying to find out if it grows back to see if I have to have radiation. So there's a very quick summary. And yeah, we'll go on from there. I feel good. Of course, I felt good before too. So that hasn't changed. Felt good before, feel good now. So I have missed my riding. So I'm glad that I'm finally being allowed to do it. I hope I don't get any bad consequences to this. I have done a little bit of exercising by lifting my legs, like getting exercise by doing that, doing some squats, not lifting weights other than myself, but doing some squats to get my legs used to moving again. Before I've been lucky if I had 1,000 steps in a day. In fact, there was several days where I was lucky to get 30 steps in. But now pretty much I always get over 1,000 for the last couple of weeks. Around, I don't know, 2,000 steps for the most part in a day. Now I wasn't getting that many to start with before. I was only getting about 26 to 3,000 steps anyway. So I'm pretty much back to normal, or close enough. Yeah, I'm not sure how all this is going to turn out today. I did bring my second battery, just as a precaution, but it also has all my tools with me, so in case I get extra problems, I'll be prepared. I did forget to oil my chain. I just now remembered that. So I need to do that when I get back. Yes. Shift down in gears, go up this hill. Hopefully I can remember to get down to first gear. That helps me to pedal. It's not very difficult. I'm not expending a lot of energy right now. The bike's doing most of it. I'm in first gear, so that's one of the things I want to mention is that while I'm riding my bike, I pedal constantly, unless I'm coasting or something like now. But I don't have my bike do all the work. I do a lot of work. And that's my preferred method because, if I've told y'all before, in order to avoid dementia, getting exercise is one of the things that needs to happen. And so I need to be out riding my bike for 20 minutes or so and pedaling so I get extra exercise a few times a week. So I don't want dementia, so I'm going to try to avoid it as best I can. There's some evidence that processed foods help contribute to it, but I'm not positive on that. Maybe somebody can show me a study or give me a study I can go look at, or a few studies that would show it, but I haven't found anything that I could trust that showed processed food as a cause of dementia. I have run across processed foods causing inflammation, and maybe inflammation causes dementia. But that hasn't been 100% proven either. The best we can tell is that dementia is preventable, and exercising is the best way to cause that to happen. So, and there has been more than one study. There's been studies with bikes, and there's been studies with walking. They happen to be, I guess, something that seniors can do in general, and therefore it's easier to do studies with seniors that may get dementia if you do things that they actually can do. Like, running a marathon, you're not going to have that many seniors that can do that. In my case, walking around the block is a painful event. So I don't do that. But riding a bike is not a painful event. And today this is very nice. Oh, look, you can see some blue skies now. So maybe the clouds are going away. Oh, I don't think I mentioned the temperature. The temperature today is in the 60s. Hey. So, yeah. A lot of people I end up talking to as I travel around. I didn't stop for that person because I'm trying to get some exercise. But frequently I end up stopping and talking to people who hail me like that because they want to find out a little bit about electric bikes and how they work and whether it work for them, even how much it costs and all sorts of other things. Now, I like talking to people about bikes because I feel like they're really helpful. They can also be dangerous since you ride with cars, and cars are not overly friendly towards bicycles. But when you're riding through neighborhoods like this, it's fairly safe. I've tried getting exercise doing the exercise bikes in gyms, but I can't do that. To me, that even if I'm watching TV, it's just not entertaining enough for me. I just can't do it. I like the being outdoors. The temperature is actually an advantage for me because it's different. And then, of course, you got the people you run into. And that reminds me, I had found out that our society, the United States mainly, I think who this was applying to, is that 40% of people have gone 4 days without any human contact, without anybody in person that they talk to. Yeah, that's not good. And this is along all age groups. Some of the older people are in nursing homes, so they have contact every day with nurses and other residents. So a lot of these people are the young people of today. 25, 35, and they are just not meeting and talking with people. They get their apartment, and that's all they see. They don't go out and do things for 4 days at a time. So, to me, that's very sad. We are a people that are social, and so not getting social contact for 4 days a week is, it seems like it's just way bad for our society for things like that to happen. I can't see good things happening because of that. That's 40% of our people, so that's a lot. For me, it's very hard for me to go even 24 hours without contact with people. So I can't identify with how bad it must be to go 4 days in a row without contacting people. I mean, just going to the grocery store. Of course, I only go to the grocery store once a week. But you got grocery store, you have church. I don't know, it just seems hard for you to go 4 days in a row without seeing people. But that's just my life. Since I ride my bike, I see people all the time, and frequently, not every single bike ride, but frequently, people call me over to talk to me about the electric bike, or just to talk about have I seen their dog, or keep a lookout for their dog, because they know I'm moving around the neighborhood. I have a chance to actually see something. Today's ride, I'm trying not to go too far. That's intentional. It's my first recorded ride. I don't even know if this ride will make it to the internet, because I'm just practicing here to see if I can remember how to do everything like I'm supposed to. Hey, there's that fire engine again in my same area. I wonder what it's doing up here. Yeah, this is like the steepest hill in my neighborhood I'm getting ready to go down. I used to ride up it, but it's really rough. It's a rough hill. So now I'll go down it. And this is where you have to have good brakes. I have wondered before that if I couldn't stop, what would happen? And I guess I'll just run into those trees and down that embankment. And then probably nobody will find me for days. Well, one of the things I tell y'all to always make sure you do is tell people that you're going for a ride in your general planned route. For cases like that. But I didn't tell anybody today. So I didn't know I was going until I'm out here. It was raining early this morning. Well, you can look at the ground. It's still totally wet. I don't know what this car is doing. Very slow. They had waved me on, which is weird. You pull out your driveway and you stop in the middle of the road and wave a bicycle through? I mean, I don't understand that. They should have not pulled out their driveway if they were thinking about waving me on. Well, I do have a tiny story. An issue that everyone who listens to me know I have, is I'm not very mechanically inclined. And that can cover so many different ranges, to just screwing in a screw, to hammering on something, to taking something apart. It's just about everywhere. And I usually end up being successful. It's just that it takes me like 10, 20 times longer than somebody that knows what they're doing does. And so this issue is not surprising, the fact that it came from me. It probably surprised a lot of you. And that basically I spent 2 hours changing out a battery. Yeah, 2 whole hours of my life trying to change out a battery. You would think it could be quicker than that, but it turns out that there's all sorts of problems with changing out some batteries. Now, this battery was a battery backup to my computer system, so that when I lose power in my house, that my computer doesn't shut down immediately. It stays on about another 10 minutes, gives you enough time to shut it down properly. And the last time I lost power, it didn't give me 10 minutes to shut down. It gave me about 15 seconds, which wasn't long enough. And so that created some issues on my computer that needed to be solved. But more importantly, the battery backup system no longer was working, so I needed a new battery. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could like buy a whole new battery pack and toss out the old one. There are places that take these batteries, so you can turn them in somewhere. But I decided what I wanted to do was to replace the battery that's inside the little battery backup system. I was thinking at the time, how tough can that be? They probably created it so that, people like me have the ability to do it. So I ordered a battery using the model number that I had. And it showed up, and it was incorrect. Which was a little irritating. So I went back online and looked, and it turned out that my battery had an M on the end. And this battery replacement did not have an M on the end. And therefore that M meant they had modified it in some way. I don't know what the M stood for, but they apparently modified it some way. And the way they modified it is they changed the way the battery connected. So the battery no longer worked the way it did with the battery that I purchased. So I had to order another battery. So when this battery showed up, the first thing I did was take it to see if it was the right type. And it looked to be right. So my job then became, I need to open up my battery casing so I can get to the actual battery. Now, you wouldn't think casing would be that hard. I was looking for some screws that I would have to undo, or maybe a latch I'd had to pull on. And after looking at it for 3 or 4 minutes, I couldn't find anything. So I went to YouTube, which is my place I go to every time I can't figure out how to do something, because somebody in the world knows how to do it and does a video about it. And I found somebody that says, this is how you remove the case on my battery type. And they showed me. And I said, okay, that was awful easy. I should have been able to figure that out. So I squished on things and pushed on things, and finally I was able to take off a cover. Didn't even need a screw. So now I'm looking at the battery, and the battery has 2 posts connected to it, which is what you would expect, a positive and a negative. So far it wasn't too picky. And so then I pulled on one of the wires and nothing happened. It didn't disconnect. So then I pulled on the other wire and it also didn't disconnect. And so I said, well, is it possible that you have to release a latch of some sort before the battery can come off, the battery wire can come off the battery? So I decided to go on YouTube, find somebody that shows how to take the battery cables off the battery on this type of battery backup system. Sure enough, there's somebody that did that. And they didn't cover it too well, though. Instead, they just said, and then you remove the battery cables. And I go, well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do, is remove the battery cables. And I said, but since they didn't say you had to do this switch or push this button or do it this way, that I'm going to assume that meant that all I had to do was actually pull it. And since this thing was about 5 years old, maybe it stuck on there really well. So I said, okay. So I went back and I pulled on it and it didn't come off. And I said, okay, maybe there's something else to it. So back to YouTube I went. Found a couple more videos of people doing it. It looked like everybody was just pulling it. Nobody said there was any special way. So I went and got myself a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, so I could use it as leverage. I could push on it while I also pulled on the cable, because I'm trying not to rip the wire while I do it. So I got the screwdriver pushing on it from one direction, using it like a little leverage. And then I was pulling it on it with my other hand, trying to pull it out. And yeah, finally I released it. He got it out. So I got one of them out by doing it that way. That was the positive cable. That was the one I disconnected first. And then I went to work on the negative, which was connected differently, because, why would they want to use the same method of connections? I guess that if they had the same method, people would plug in the positive and the negative side. So they have them different so that you have less likelihood of trying to connect the wrong cables. So the screwdriver wasn't helpful. I couldn't take the screwdriver and push on anything. There wasn't anything to push on the negative side. So then I had to resort to just pulling on it. So I'm trying to pull on it with my hand, and nothing was happening. So I went back to my videos, rewatched the 3 videos to see if they were doing anything special. But I didn't see anything special. It looks like they just wiggled it off. I said, oh, well, maybe my problem is I'm not wiggling it as I'm trying to pull it off. I'm just trying to pull it off. So I started trying to wiggle it back and forth as I was pulling on it. And eventually I did get it off. So it turns out there wasn't anything special holding it on. It just held on very well, very strongly. And so I took the battery out. And that was pretty easy because it had 2 handles on it. So you just pulled the 2 handles and it just comes out of the slot. So then I took the one that I ordered and just slid it in there in the same spot and reconnected the 2 cables. Reconnecting the 2 cables, I didn't have to watch any videos on. I was very proud of myself. I just reversed what I did in order to take them out. I didn't need a screwdriver to try to pry anything, though. And then it was just a matter of trying to figure out how to plug it in, reassemble everything. The reassembling process was actually simple, since I had just done it earlier that day. I still remembered how to reassemble everything. And then I plugged it into the wall to see if it worked. And it did work. So my first battery backup system, battery replacement, turned out to be successful. And it only took 2 hours. Well, it took a couple of weeks too because of ordering the 2 different batteries. So 2 weeks and a couple hours. I'm amazed every single time how long it takes me to get some things done. It's just crazy. I've had somebody bought me during Christmas. I've been sick since then, so I haven't been able to do much. But somebody bought me in Christmas a new bag that I can carry my battery in. So I had one, and it's pretty good. It works well. But they got another one that was bigger, would allow me to put other things besides just the battery and a couple of tools. And it also had like little side things that you could use for bike packing if you were that type of person. So I said, oh, now that I can move around and do some exercise, let me see if I can put this on my bike. So I went to my Aventon Adventure and unpacked the bag, and it didn't fit. Now it came with a adapter that you're supposed to put on, but the adapter didn't fit. It was too narrow. The rear rack that I have is much bigger than what the width of this adapter was. So I'm thinking, I don't think there's anything I can do here. I don't believe I can fix this. But I went on the internet anyway and looked to see if anybody had done a video on figuring out how to get this adapter to work on an Aventon Adventure racking system. Amazingly, well, it's not too amazing, but somewhat amazing, there was a video of somebody doing exactly that. Using figuring out how to adapt the adapter to the Aventon rear rack. And so I watched a video, saw how he did it, and went to my system, and my rear rack was different than his rear rack. So his method would not work for me with the adapter I had. Now there might be other adapters, and I'll have to research that still. But that was a failure that I had where I did not achieve the goal of adapting this bag. Now I didn't need this bag, but it was bought for a Christmas present, so I would like to install it and show the person that they didn't waste their money. But that hasn't gone well so far. Maybe they'll forget that they even got me one by the time but probably not. They're probably hoping that they'll be able to see me using their thing that they bought me. So I guess I'll go try to see if there's a different type of adapter that will work with the bag and the Aventon rear rack system. I mean, the adapters can't cost much when they're about $10 or $15. I wouldn't think they'd be more than that. So I may go look for that, see if I can find an adapter that would work. The bag itself was like $100, so it's a really expensive bag. It's really nice, but it just didn't work on this bike. Now I might get another bike eventually, and maybe it'll work on that bike. So it's not like getting rid of it. That's not something I would do. Being a pack rack, even things that don't work, I keep. Like the battery that battery I told you about earlier that did not work. Yeah, I still got it. Don't know what it goes into, but I didn't ship it back. Yeah, pack racks don't do that. Once you get something, you pretty much keep it. Even if you don't need it. Because, I do have other battery backup systems throughout the house, so maybe I have one that would actually work with this one. So we'll see if I get around to needing to replace any of the other ones. Okay, so I've done about a 30-minute ride now. and it doesn't feel like I'm in any extra pain. Although sometimes these pain things show up the next day. The first time I exercised was very minor exercise in which I had lifted my legs while laying on my stomach so that I could exercise the back of my legs when I pick them up. And that is supposed to help my knee, and it does help my knee. When I do that every day, after a few days, I can stand up for maybe 20 minutes without my knees hurting. So it doesn't eliminate the knees hurting forever. It just eliminates them for a little bit. So that's a whole lot better than them hurting whenever I move. So I haven't been able to do those exercises. So doing it for the first time about 3 days ago, 2 days later, all my muscles are hurting in my legs. My hamstrings are hurting, and my glutamus muscles are hurting. And I was thinking, man, I only did like 10 reps of these things. How in the world can lifting your legs 10 times hurt? But they did. And then it was too late. Started hurting 2 days later, and it didn't start hurting the next day. So right now, I don't think I'm hurting, and I think I'm fine, but I'm going to call it quits anyway because I'm suspicious that it's going to have a long-term consequence to me. I just don't know what they are right this second. Yeah, I couldn't see what cars were coming, so I had to stop to look. But yeah, I've been out for over 30 minutes, so I probably got plenty of exercise. I'll probably have my thigh muscles hurt a bit tomorrow or the next day. One of the things I'm thinking about doing is that I have a lot of accessories because I just think they're cool. And I haven't talked about them. I have accessories that you can see on my bike easily. But I also have accessories you can't see so well, such as my locks that I have, covers I have. I have my fishing pole that I bring with me sometimes. I have a chair that I bring with me when I expect to go fishing. I have all these things that I use on my bike. And so sometimes you wonder why I have these bags. So it's because I carry an awful lot of stuff. I have a lot of tools for different type of situations. Now, I may not be able to fix whatever the problem is, but I have watched a lot of other people videos, biking videos, and in some cases, when they've had a problem, people in the area come by to try to help. So my theory is that if I have a major issue and I have all these tools with me, somebody that shows up to try to help me will know how to use the tools, even if I don't. So I carry all sorts of tools, and that's the reason I carry around 110, 120 pounds worth of bike and accessories around with me. And if you add my weight to it, you're getting over 300 pounds of stuff that this bike has whenever I go anywhere. So having a video showing all the accessories is pretty cool. Now I had a camera stand that I purchased for $1. It was I had found a couple of coupons, and I used the 2 coupons, and it cost $1 to get it. So I decided to buy it because it only cost $1, and I wasn't sure how I would use it, the camera stand, but I figured, hey, I do camera stuff, so there might become a point in time in which I use this camera stand. And what it does is it tracks your face. It looks at your face and tries to track you if you stay within a certain distance of it. So I tested it out, and I'm going to maybe include that in my accessory so you can kind of see what a little bit of a tracking device looks like. It can't do much tracking. It doesn't do vertical tracking. It only does horizontal. So it can't work in all the situations you can come across, but you can create situations in which it would work. And so that's what I'll try to do, is create a situation showing it working. I'm not sure this is anything that anybody else would buy, unless you're trying to do a video for YouTube. Otherwise, I don't think there would be many uses for it. But if you don't have a camera person, which I do have a couple of people who will do camera work for me. But if you don't happen to have a camera work person, this is a way in which you can accomplish tracking device while moving on your bike. You can have something set up that will track you. So we'll show that and see how it works. And well, anyway, until next time, see y'all then. Bye.